Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps. Our presidential spokesperson, Ernesto Abella, will introduce our guest who is also celebrating his birthday today.
All right. Okay. You know, just to give you a little bit of an insight, last night at was it 12:30 or 1 a.m. The Davao Airport, the president himself led the singing of a happy birthday. So today's resource person is Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. He is the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. He is part of the president's delegation to Laos, Indonesia, Vietnam, Brunei, China, and Japan. Among other things, Senator Alan has advocated for a better life for poor Filipinos. He pushed for presyo, trabajo, kita, to reduce prices, create more and better jobs, and to raise income for families. He was also the primary author of the RA 10648, also known as the Escola Tambayan Act of 2014. Particularly invited him to join us this afternoon simply because we being with him during the past several visits to other countries, he has shown. I've observed that he has shown extraordinary grasp of Philippine relations with other countries, especially his insights into the president and the intentions of President Rodrigo Duterte. So, without further ado, I'd like us to welcome Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Please.
Gandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It's a honor and pleasure to be here to you, but medyo sentimental lang. Kasi 14 years ago, on this day, I brought my dad to the airport to go to the US for a checkup, but it turned out that he needed a transplant. And dito yung opisina niya sa baba. But I haven't been here much, but it's a pleasure to be here. But this time, rather than challenging news, are good news. Yes, for some of you, it's a roller coaster, but I still believe it's good news. So if I can start in just a short introduction. Through God's grace and mercy on our nation, President Duterte's diplomatic initiatives have been highly effective and is immediately bearing fruit. And we expect that this will continue in terms of delivery of projects, funds that will be a product of goodwill that he has worked for, because it seems that the one-on-one diplomacy is one of the things that the president has mastered or is a natural in. While unsettling at times, it is part of the resetting and the correction of our foreign policy. Talagang pagka inaprut mo ang isang policy, and especially foreign policy, there will be giant ups and downs, no? To just give you an insight into some learnings over the trips, and as chairman of the Committee on Foreign Relations, you know, all politics is local. This is repeated by all politicians. But what isn't often repeated in foreign policy is that all foreign policy is based on local politics. And what is this? First, the national values. Ano yung kultura mo, ano yung tradition mo, ano yung values mo as a people. Second, national needs. Ano ang pangangailangan ng iyong mga kababayan at pangangailangan nyo bilang isang bansa. Together, the national values and the national needs come together as the national interest. And when you talk about the national interest, the president, together with the leaders of the country, have a vision. From this vision, you have goals, and you cannot achieve these goals without plans. And from these plans, you have strategy and tactics. Some people confuse the president's tactics or strategy with the president's foreign policy. And we can go on to that later sa question and answer, no? But a good example is how he deals with people who criticize the drug war, no? That's not about foreign policy. That is really about the strategy or the tactics in dealing with the foreign policy. The foreign policy has not changed. What has changed is the strategy in implementing it. In terms, for example, of the drug war. What is our national needs? Ano ang pangangailangan ng ating bansa? Una-una, peace. Peace sa kaliwa, sa mga komunista. Peace sa ating mga kapatid sa South and all over the Philippines, mga kapatid nating na ang kanilang religion ay Islam. Para ang Kristiyano at mga Muslim at iba't ibang mga religion sa nagpa-practice ng iba't ibang religion sa ating bansa will live in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious society, and we can work and live together. Peace leads to development, but peace can only be had if you have security. So isang part din ng peace is freedom from the dangers of crime and from the dangers of illegal drugs. With this, development can come. And with development, the dignity of life. Jobs, healthcare, education, housing, income and prices o presyo, trabaho, kita that will allow us to provide for our families and allow us to create a society of equal opportunities. Hindi yung mayayaman lang o yung malalaki lang, makapangyarihan lang ang nagahari. That is why President Duterte is fighting so hard, and that is why he gets easily angry when there are moves to stop him or stop us in our drug war, or there are moves to stop us from achieving our goals, and lastly, pag nakikita siyang naaapi. So having said that, I hope I provided a simple paradigm or way of seeing how the foreign policy is being implemented. Question, kailangan ba ng paglilinaw? Yes. But we are at the phase 1. Wala pa siyang 200 days. Ina-uproot pa niya ang mga maling policy dati. I'll give you an example, President Aquino. President Aquino changed policy towards China about a year and a half into his administration or after the visit sa China, no? And we gave him all the leeway because in our country, it's the president who is in charge of foreign policy. May I also recognize that Secretary Andanar is also with us here today. So anyway, let me stop there because I know you have a lot of questions about this trip and many other trips. So let me just put on record, it was very, very, very successful. It created an almost unstoppable momentum. Why almost unstoppable? Of course, situations are fluid. There are a lot of things that can happen. But can you imagine, we've had very, very good relations with Japan the last 5 years. But Prime Minister Abe and President Duterte agreed together that we will bring the relationship to new heights. No? And of all the foreign visits, Prime Minister Abe socialized with the whole delegation, going from table to table, graciously posing with us for pictures and graciously engaging some short questions. When world leaders go off program or off protocol in a face-to-face diplomacy, this is very, very good news because this means that the relationship is really warming.
Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Cayetano. The floor is now open for questions. Okay, question from Rose Centenario of Hataw.
Good afternoon, Senator. Ano po yung pagtanggap ng overseas Filipino workers na nakabase sa Japan sa drug war po ni Presidente Duterte?
Ang pagtanggap kay Presidente Duterte at pagtanggap sa drug war niya, necessarily nakatali. Because especially during December, bago nung campaign, pinupuntahan talaga siya ng mga seamen at ibang OFWs na ilan araw lang ang break sa Pasko para sabihin sa kanya, Sir, kami na bahala sa kikitain namin. Kami na bahala magpaaral sa mga anak namin. Ikaw na bahala sa safety nila. Diba? Until now, my wife can't get over, diba, that teenager na napakagandang pangarap. Alam mo, meron kaming taga-Tagig na student of architecture ni hindi kumuha ng scholarship namin dahil ayaw umabsent ng 1 day. Di ba nang hindi niya makuha yung 10 to 50,000, makapasok lang everyday, dun sa lamay niya, pinakita lahat ng drawings niya, napakagaganda, even the city, pinatay. I mean, dalawa. Talagang sunod-sunod ang pagsaksak, no? Yun ang inaalala ng parents abroad. I mean, even kayo, sa mga may anak, your number one concern is their safety. Of course, their future, but you don't have a future if they're not safe. If they can't come home, what future are we talking about? So, that's why I said kanina, yes, it's unsettling. Meron talagang mga arguments sa human rights, ano yung paraan. But dun sa question that should we fight drugs? Yes. Should we declare war on drugs? Yes. Ang problema, culture. Ang Europe kasi at US, mahigit siguro 600 years naka-experience ng war. Kaya pag sinabi mo sa kanilang war, iba yung naiisip nilang gera. If we used campaign against drugs, alam mo, hindi ganun kalakas ang angal ng Europe at US. So question, why don't we just use the word campaign against drug? Dahil baliktad naman sa Pilipino. Pag sinabi mo sa Filipino campaign, ang dating nangangampanya ka lang. Nakikiusap ka. Pag sinabi mong war, alam mong seryoso ka. So sino unahin natin? Ang mga Europeans at saka US na hindi nagsasuffer naman sa nangyayari sa atin? Or sarili natin? So that's what I'm saying, that it's unsettling because abroad, krinikriticize tayo, pinapalabas, may mass murder, etc. na hindi naman totoo. Pero duty naman nila intindihin ang kultura natin. Tayo ba nagko-comment tayo? Nagrarally ba tayo everyday? Nagfa-file ba tayo ng resolution sa UN kung bakit legal ang abortion sa Amerika? Sa atin, human rights violation yun. Walang kalaban-laban ang bata. Papatayin through abortion. Diba? So what would the US presidents feel? When they visit the Philippines, we will announce to the world, every time you come here, we will ask, why do you kill the unborn? Diba? We don't agree with them, but we're courteous enough to understand their sovereignty and their morality and their concept, no, of human rights. So is it too much for us to ask, come here, take a look for yourself, and we will show you that this drug war is a war against drugs and it's being done in accordance with international human rights standard. But if you tell us to change our language to suit you, that will not help our campaign here. So that is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it's unsettling to others, but that's the reality.
Next question from Raymond Tinaza of Bombo Radio. Microphone, please.
Hi, sir. Happy birthday. Sir, anyway, sir, I understand you've also been part of the close delegation of the president during his closest bilateral meetings with the Japanese counterparts. Was there any of those events, either formal or informal, any of those Japanese officials ever mentioned their or raised concern over that separation or that actuation of the president towards or against the U.S., which is a stance ally of the Japan?
Okay. I cannot talk about matters that happened in confidence and when the cameras are out of the bilateral meetings, no? But in the first part of the bilateral meeting, after the greetings of the Japanese Prime Minister, all the cameras were still there. So narinig naman nung lahat yung statement ng presidente about the relationship with America and the relationship with Japan. Now, to answer your question directly, the way the diplomacy works is that the heads, president to prime minister, president to president, foreign secretary to foreign secretary, hindi nag-uusap diretso kaagad yan. They send a number of staffers, aides, ASECs, USECs to talk muna to bring up the point para walang init ng ulo. And even before we left, of course, there were some concerns by the Japanese counterparts because they are aligned with the U.S. policy, especially in the West Philippine Sea and South China Sea, and East China Sea also. There were concerns expressed. But there were informal gatherings like a dinner wherein the president and the high Japanese officials were able to talk about this. And while they might not agree totally, they came out with a very good understanding of why. Even the Japanese businessmen in the business forum were telling our officials, it's correct, you shouldn't be pushed around. So, and even in some of the meetings, no, the Japanese just simply emphasized that you understand our relationship with the U.S. and we are aligned with the U.S., but you are our brothers, we are friends. So that was the track. I'll give you another example of something like that that works out. U.S., South Korea, and Japan are allies. But Japan and South Korea do not see eye to eye on many, many issues. Yet they remain friends, and the U.S. is able to have good relationship with both. So under that circumstance or that paradigm, there's no reason that President Duterte cannot have very, very good relations with both Japan and China. In fact, some Japanese businessmen said, our benefit is we're slow but we're sure. But now, with what's happening in the Philippines, we have to be fast but still sure. Kasi may competition eh. No? It's not only American and Japanese money coming in. The rest of the Southeast Asia and Asia, no? Even Brunei is interested in investing, may pera din sila. Of course, China, nakita niyo yung laki ng ilang bilyon ang papasok. And competition is always good. Question, can Japan play a role in bringing the U.S. and Philippines closer together? Yes, they can. Why not? But it's really up to the new winner or the new president of the U.S. whether they will take the same tack taken by President Obama and Ambassador Goldberg in the first 100 days of the president, which the cabinet and the president deemed offensive and disrespectful of his campaigns, of his vision, of his struggles, or if the new U.S. president would take a step back and say, we are old allies, it's time to renew our friendship, let's talk. No? The president has never said no to people who has asked him humbly or asked him with dignity or with honor, sir, can we talk?
Was there also an instance wherein the Japanese officials may have brought up, directly or indirectly, their concern or questions, whatever, their thoughts on the alleged killings due to the anti-drug war?
Again, I cannot talk about specifics, but personally, I did not hear any. All I heard was full support because one, the Japanese has closer cultural ties with us. Number two, they don't only have businesses here, they have expats here whose safety was also always the concern. Remember the kidnappings in the 90s. And third, I don't know if their foreign ministry has better interpreters than the State Department, because for them, when the president says certain words, natra-translate yung context eh. If it's an expression or a curse expression, rather than cursing a person derecho, it's translated to them eh. So when the president also says, like yesterday, di ba, ano sabi niya, sa Isabela, may nawala na mga gamit. At sabi niya, sa mga pulis, patayin ko kayo pag hindi sinoli niyan. So ano sabi ni Presidente? Maniniwala naman kayo. Siyempre, yun ang language ko. Yun ang naiintindihan ng pulis eh. So sa Japanese, ganun din eh. Look at the Americans, no? If they say, terrorist, please stop, will the terrorist stop? They adopt language that come hell or high waters, they will use everything they have to go after terrorism. But that's not considered human rights violation. That's not considered, pushing people to commit murder against terrorists. But tayo, when they don't try to understand our culture, when we're dead serious at sabihin mong, patayan na pag ganyan. How many of us na naka-attend ng meeting, especially if you're from the South, at sinabi, kami, sa Taguig, sa Maharlika Village, minsan nagkakausap ng ganon. Kung ganyan usapan, patayan na lang. No? But it's a hyperbole, it's a way of emphasizing that kung ganyan mangyayari, ba't hindi mo sinasabi magpatayan na tayo? Iba yon. Yung tunay na nagpapatayan, hindi na nagsasalita, napatayan na tayo, nagbubunutan na lang. Nag-uupakan na. So it was much, much better with the Japanese counterparts than the US because they made much more effort to understand and much more effort to see the real translations. Aside from that, the president, in his speeches, nakita ko, inunahan na niya. Because the Japanese are very polite people. They're very courteous. So they will not come here like the Americans will announce na I'm meeting President Duterte, it'll be a pleasure, but I will ask him on 1, 2, 3. Hindi ganun ang Hapon eh. Di ba? Ang Hapon, we will go, we will talk, period. So ang nangyari, pagpunta ni Presidente doon, even if he wasn't being asked about military alliance, about the West Philippine Sea, sinama niya sa speech niya. Very diligent naman ang kanilang foreign ministerinista nila. So it was much, much smoother. So the Americans can definitely learn a lot from the Japanese.
Last point. So you also been to China. So far, to whom or to where did you get the warmer or the more special treatment?
It's different kinds of warmness eh. Yung isa para bang yung matagal mong hindi nakita na snabang kayo, na bigla kayo nagkabate at nagyakapan. Yung isa, yung dati mo nang ka-close, pero iniisip mo, ngayon ba close pa rin tayo kasi inaway mo yung isang kaibigan niya. So both were very warm. And remember, integrated kasi, sa China kasi, napakalaki ng Filipino-Chinese community natin. Na may mga umiyak pa rin talaga eh. Kasi the last 5 years, they were also pained, di ba? Just as there are Filipino-Americans who are pained now with what's happening, there are a lot of Chinese Filipino who are pained with what happened. Now, sa Japanese naman, it wasn't pain because there's been no break in the relationship, there's been no downhill spiral. It was more concern. And when those concerns were addressed, and when they were all surprised, diba, that the Prime Minister Abe, who is a legend, no, also, and who is very stern and strict, did not think twice of doing the Duterte sign, and did not think twice of introducing his cabinet and mingling with the Philippine delegation. It really, it was also a diplomatic coup for Prime Minister Abe. The credit cannot go only to President Duterte. Prime Minister Abe met, the coup happened through the two of them, no? And I think this should cool things down, and it should show that in Asia, there is an Asian or Eastern way of doing diplomacy that is different from the West but can be more effective.
Okay. Next question from Pia of Rappler.
Sir, si President Duterte was observed chewing gum while he was signing documents with President Xi Jinping in China, and also there were reports that some Japanese officials were paranoid that he would chew gum in front of the emperor, and he has very informal ways. So as a senator on foreign relations and as a possible secretary on foreign affairs, what do you think of this kind of behavior of the president, and will you be advising him to follow protocol next time?
Okay. First of all, no other president has been under the microscope as President Duterte. Did you notice when President Duterte was talking about Hitler, the whole world made a comment? But when President Aquino called China Hitler, when they were in the opposite side in the war, he was not under a microscope. Okay. I chew gum, but I don't chew gum when I'm in Singapore. Not because of diplomatic relations, but because bawal din at pag tinapon mo, patay ka eh. Talagang malaking fine or kulong, no? So, the Japanese and Chinese have so much similarities but also have so much difference. Sa China, hindi bawal yon at hindi yon discourteous. Sa Japan, it is. So, halimbawa po sa atin, when you put your hands in your pocket here, it could be a sign of humility. It could be a sign of obedience, di ba? Nandyan ang presidente, nandyan ang teacher, so lahat kayo nakaganon, ganyan, di ba? Okay. So, that's why we have a professional DFA and a protocol assigned to Malacanang. They are briefed. That's why, it's not, we're in a democracy, so anyone can warn the president, anyone can put on Facebook, sana hindi ganyan. But trust in your fellow Filipino workers. The DFA and the protocol, Ambassador Painor is doing a great job. And all of this is briefed. The president could go to sleep early or can go out before the next meeting. But he spends 3 to 4 hours with all of us, listening to all kinds of briefings, starting with the DFA, from any other concern, from the legislature through Speaker Alvarez, myself as a Senate, DND, DTI, etc. No? So, all of this are professionally handled. Question: what is protocol nowadays? I don't know if you saw sa Facebook a few days ago, President George Bush was taking a picture with tapos hindi niya makuha. So kinalabit niya a month and a half ago, kinalabit niya si President Obama. Akala ni President Obama kasama siya sa picture, pero nakiusap si President Bush na si President Obama kumuha sa kanya. That wasn't protocol. But since they're both Americans and they're both one's former president, one's president, okay lang. It's not all over the paper that Bush did not follow protocol and insulted the ganyan, no? So, to answer your question directly, of course, there are always concerns. That's why you have the protocol. But the opposite side of the coin is may konting kapraningan tayo as a nation that he will not follow protocol. But actually, he's very astute regarding that, no? And it's a different world, eh. Yung halimbawa yung folding of the barong, all of this or the kind of pants he wears, all of this has been communicated to the host kung allergic siya sa isang klaseng fabric, kaya ganun yung gamit niya. Ang presidente natin pawisin. Pia, you yourself, di ba? Nalala mo nung campaign kayo ni sa CNN, di ba? Pinapahawakan pa yung t-shirt niya kung gaano kabasa, eh. Di ba? So, when he folds his barong, it's because he'd rather look a little bit less formal than look sobrang pawis na pawis, and you're representing your nation, eh, but you're human, eh. Di ba? So that's the reality there. So when it's required that he wears a suit, he will wear a suit. When it's required that he doesn't chew gum, he will not chew gum.
Okay. Next question from Henry Uri of DZRH.
Magandang hapon po, Senator. Habang kayo po'y naghihilik daw at saka yung iba pang mga miyembro ng gabinete kagabi nung pagkagaling ninyo sa Japan, kinausap ng Diyos ang Pangulo at sinabing huwag na magmura, otherwise ibabagsak niyo yung eroplanong sinasakyan ninyo. Minsan ba ipinanalangin ninyo ang Pangulo na sana tumigil na sa pagmumura? Answered prayer ba ito sa part nyo?
Actually, Henry, hindi tayo nagkakausap matagal na, no, after the campaign. But for me, it's really answered prayer because I had the chance to pray with him and for him in Japan. Because he had a word with me and I asked him, can we pray? And we prayed about a couple of things, which we did a few times during the campaign, and I was surprised that he appreciated it. No, but the Lord works in mysterious way. I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but going home he was very tired, so I can't talk about sino humihilik. Maybe that's part of national security or national insecurity. Biruan nga namin sa plane, may bilateral at may bilateral din, eh, kasi nagsasagutan din yung hilik, eh. Diba? Pero the president was really tired. He slept more on the way home than there. But every time he'd wake up, I behind him is Sekbong, eh, dito sa kabilang side. I kept seeing him na gano'n, eh. Nakaganon, tapos nag-iisip. Usually kasi, kakalabit kay Bong yon or kila Sek Andanar or whoever's there, kukuha ng briefing papers. So magpapahinga ng konti, tapos panay briefing papers, panay basa. Kung may tanong siya, tatayo kami dun sa hall or kung sino man gusto niya kawas. Kung private, palalabasin niya yung stewardess, uusap dun. But on the way back, walang ganon. It is the first trip I've been on in the last 4 or 5 trips. Alone lang, except yung kain niya. And then, nakaganon talaga in everything, no? But he also said another significant thing. He said yesterday, the most significant really is that he said he felt it was a message from God. And I've always said to the protest of our religious leaders or some religious leaders that he's a deeply spiritual person. He's not religious, but he believes in God. He doesn't do the rituals or traditions of traditional religions, but he talks to our Lord and he prays, no? And the other thing I heard from him is a strategy. Gulpe de gulat is part of a Duterte strategy. But let me stop there because you can only talk of strategy. Halimbawa sa campaign, many of you asked about the campaign, about the false accusation sa kanya sa bank accounts. He only talked about it nung tapos na. Kasi may strategy siya eh. Kaya niya hindi nilabas kaagad para ipakita na wala talaga. But you cannot talk about strategy while it's ongoing. Ongoing pa yung strategy niya about the West Philippine Sea. Ongoing pa yung strategy niya for closer ties with all our neighbors, including China and Japan. So, those who are calling for hearings, those who are calling for clarifications, that's welcome. But I direct them to use the budget hearing rather because all that can be revealed there. But if they want to know the strategy, it has to be closed door. And it has to be people who agree with the strategy. Because many of the senators who are asking for a clarification actually believes in the Aquino strategy, which is shaming to death China and following US whatever they say. And that is, I'm not saying it's the wrong strategy. It might have been, I don't know, kasi yung strategy depende sa time yan, di ba? If you look at Japan, may time na magkagalit sila ni China. May time that yung national consensus was to build the relationship through economics. And then, nag-shift ulit. So ngayon, medyo hindi warm ang kanilang relationship. But their diplomats are trying. So you cannot expect us and the team, especially the DND, the National Security Advisor, to speak on the strategy, especially sa military, because you never tell your opponent. Isipin mo, kung si Manny Pacquiao, sasabihin niya, pare, una kong tira dyan, jab. And then after 7 jab ulit, uppercut. Di alam na nung kalaban kung anong gagawin mo. So if they want to know what is the policy, independent foreign policy, what it is based on, security, peace and order, food security, jobs, trade. One of the problems of our security is we have 10 million people abroad and it's causing dysfunctional families. One of our problems are drugs. So nakatali lahat yun sa foreign policy. No? But President Aquino saw the number one problem to be economics. So he based his policy on economics and then some other issues sa South China Sea. But President Duterte is saying, anin mo economics kung patay ka. Anin mo ang economics kung bangag ka. So he's not saying that economics is not important. In fact, di ba nagbigay siya ng computation eh. If you have 3 million addicts, 216 billion is being spent at least for isang hit-hit lang a day for the 3 million addicts. 216 billion which could have gone to buying goods, services, building roads, schools, buying food. No? This does not include what you're paying for rehab. Kinumpute ko yung sa rehab. If we follow world standards, we need 6 trillion pesos. That's 2 years' budget to build rehab centers for 3 million. Where is the computation? If you follow the world standards, it's around 1 billion for 500 people that need rehab. Kung susundin mo yung world talaga, kung ano facilities doon, kung ano yung materials, how to keep them safe, especially sa phase 1. Yung phase 1 kasi detox, yun yung merong suicidal tendencies, yun yung merong nag-aaway, di ba, So the economics of what we're losing, the economic opportunity we're losing because of drugs is tremendous. So the foreign policy of the president is also based on our local needs. Yung sinasabi niyang hinaras siya, diplomatic passport, these are anecdotes to show kung paano tayo inaapi. To show na hindi equal yung relations. Di natin sinasabi, yan ang foreign policy natin, wag nyo tayong hanapan ng visa. Hindi. Foreign policy natin, security, food security, jobs, etc. Ngayon, our brothers and sisters in America. You can meet us halfway. You can treat us as equals. We might be smaller, you might be richer, but you can treat us as equals. Pwede tayo magkaroon ng magandang relationship. Pero hindi. We have all of these neighbors who are hungry for friendship and brotherhood. Dito muna kami. Yan yung ano no, yung sober explanation of the foreign policy, no? Question: why can't we always explain it that way? Bakit i-report nyo ba kung parating ganito ka-calm ang pagkasabi? Ang US ba, President Obama ba, ang State Department kikilos ba pag ganito? Hindi. I'll give you a not a challenge but give me a birthday wish. Research the aid given to us from the 80s to the present. No? Ang baba natin parate. It is their enemies that or where the countries they have problems with na pinakamalaki ang aid na binibigay nila. Pero tayo na napakalapit sa kanila at tayo na sumunod-sunod sa kanila, they give a trickle and then ang turing sa atin para bang patay gutom ka na, binigyan ka ng pagkain, sunod-sunod na lang. Yun ang inaangal ng Pangulo. There's no problem with American people. There's no problem with American businesses. They were assured here. Can I address just that one point then? No? Dami nagtatext sa akin, paano sir yung mga BPO call center. Ang gusto magpatanggal ng call center at BPO sa Pilipinas is not President Duterte. President Duterte is keeping their incentives. President Duterte is making the environment more conducive. People in BPOs, in call centers, are often victims of crimes dahil sila umuwi ng madaling araw. It is actually the American politicians, including President Obama, who wanted to remove call centers. Take a look at the debates and the speeches of President Obama in 2008 and 2012. He was saying the other nations are getting our jobs. Dapat ibalik na dito. Jobs that should belong to us are now overseas. Simple jobs of working at home and using the phone and internet are now overseas. Ang negosyante nila ang gusto dito. Bakit? Magkano na ba minimum wage sa US ngayon? It's between $10 to $15 an hour. No, so that's about $500 to $750 an hour, which is what? Our daily wage already. So ikaw mamili, if you're gonna work 8 hours, do you pay 8 times more plus benefits and work in the US or ibigay mo sa Pilipinas? So yun ang pakiusap ko dun sa ating mga foreign relations, diplomatic affairs na experts, no? When there's a raucous and there's unsettling statements even coming from our president, let's not throw red herrings. Wag natin lituin ang tao na para bang magsasara ang mga call centers kapag may problema sa relationship sa US because it's purely a business deal. It's not a diplomatic deal. And they want to be here. They love being here. And we love them being here. And we're taking good care of them. We're giving them much more incentives than other countries are. And we're developing our English and foreign languages. That's one reason we went to K-12. No? So this is an example of issues that are spread out in social media and opinion pages. But actually, so the president has said that he's willing to meet any of these sectors that have concern. Just like the Jewish people, when iba yung dating or the message was different from what reached them, he went to a synagogue and explained to them. No? So the cabinet is very diligent. Cabinet has time to bond, to be together, to talk with the president during these trips. And the president has made it clear to all the cabinet members that economics is a priority. And if there's any business sector that needs FaceTime with him to clarify matters, he's willing to do it. Ang problema, ginagamit ng iba sa politika. That's why nagugulat kami sa China. Libo ang gusto sumama eh. DTI had a hard time telling people, pwede bang next time na lang o wag. Sa Japan, libo din ang gusto sumama. Sa conferences, naguunahan, they're all proposing new business. Tapos sasabihin, mababa ang business confidence. May disjoint. There are some business groups, di ba? And then some is not politika, but business interest. For example, some of those that are hit by the policy of the president. Sa ENDO, or making sure that the mines are safe, clean, making sure that oligarchs don't get everything, but then it's given to small and medium enterprises, these people won't sit back. Titira din yung mga yan. No?
Okay, last question from Grace Mariano.
Sir, statement nyo lang po sa sinabi ni Ambassador Goldberg na meron kayong secret travel sa China last June with Secretary Tugade.
I'm writing a letter to Secretary Yasay. I informed him yesterday to complain and to protest the actions of Ambassador Goldberg. Wag nyo nang sabihin ako, as I was introduced by Sec Abella, I'm a guest, I'm a resource person. I'm no one in the Duterte team. I'm someone that may have input now and then who's also learning. But Sec Tugade is the alter ego of the president. So first of all, Sec Tugade, myself, we're not presidents. We do not have departure or arrival statements. So what does he mean unpublicized trip? Tuwing umaalis ba ako, nagpre-press con ako? At kung mag-press con ako, pupunta ba kayo? Kasi kung pupunta kayo tuwing aalis ako, edi magpe-press con na ako parati para publicize na lahat ng trip ko. But the reality is, it's only the president that all trips are publicized. Many of the trips are unpublicized. That's just the reality, no? But these are the 3 points I want to make about his allegations against Secretary Tugade. Number 1, he's the alter ego of the president. What business does the U.S. ambassador or any ambassador have monitoring his trips or criticizing whether it's unpublicized or publicized? Number 2, is the U.S. ambassador engaged in chismis and in rumor mongering and in false information? Because Secretary Tugade did not go. He had a lot of invitations. Any DOTR secretary is invited by many, many countries, including China and Japan, automatically. But Secretary Tugade, during that time, and we were often in Davao, I heard him a lot of times say, I will not go abroad until I form my team. And my priority is forming the DOTR team. That's why hindi siya sumama sa mga trips until matapos yung kanyang team, and may sarili siyang plano. Because Secretary Tugade doesn't want to be supply-driven. Ayaw niya, ang ganda ng trend, sige, mag-trend tayo. Gusto niya, pag-aralan muna, ano ba kailangan natin? Saka ko tatanggapin yung mga imbitasyon niyo dahil yan ang kailangan namin. Third, it was a surprise to us because they were so angry a few years ago and they put some people in jail and they took away U.S. visas from a lot of Filipinos because we were spying on them. So, is this an admission now that they're spying on us? On a cabinet member and a member of the Senate? Was there anything wrong, malicious, of me going to anywhere, to China? I met with him. I did not publicize that I met with him. Did he talk about my talk with him? No. I met with other people in the embassy. I also met with other ambassadors. I've been in the House for, I was in the House for 9 years. I've been in the Senate for it's the 7th year, 2007, 9th year. My sister was president of the Interparliamentary Union Women's Group for 2 years. She traveled and talked to many, many officials. So is there anything fishy, suspicious? Wala. But the way he threw it in the interview was like his parting shot. So at the right time, I will make a full report. If at all I'm doing something, whether it's in my initiative or I was directed to, remember, I'm a senator. I don't need the president to tell me to do something. If he does tell me to do something, I will follow. But as a senator, I can meet my counterparts. I can travel. There is such thing as interparliamentary relations. Hindi parating State Department to Foreign Affairs or Foreign Affairs to Foreign Affairs. Marami na ngayon party to party or parliament to parliament or Congress to parliament. No? So, let me just say this. No? One of the problems kasi is that the U.S. and Ambassador Goldberg refused to admit that he was a big part of the problem. That's why ganun magsalita eh. No? In my humble opinion, no? He made a mistake during the campaign in handling the candidates. He met all of the candidates and reported to the US. I suppose that is the procedure. I do not know for a fact. But he was not able to meet Mayor Duterte then because he kept on changing the schedule and making it hard for the meeting. So that was his mistake. Second, he interfered in the election. We know that there's a lot of pro-American, there's a lot of American influence. He made a comment on a highly politically charged issue. Can you imagine now if our ambassador in the US says something like, you know what? Etong emails, it might cause a national ganyan. Or you know what? Etong treatment nung isang candidate sa mga babae, dapat ganito, ganyan. And it affected the 3.5 million Filipino Americans there. It affected who they voted for. Don't you think they will expel that ambassador? But ang bait ng presidente natin, he met with him. He asked everyone to go out of the room. Nag-one-on-one sila. But did Ambassador Goldberg stop there? No. He continued to treat Malacanang as if you can tell the Philippine president what to do. So the Philippines have communicated to the US. Your messenger is also a problem. So until the time he left, mang-iintriga pa. But there's nothing to the intrigue. In fact, nagkamali pa. No? But I don't know his intent or his purpose in doing that. But I talked to a lot of people in foreign relations and they said it was at the very least a breach of protocol. But it was, sabi niya, it's something terrible, something a diplomat, professional diplomat will not do unless you're really trying to do something in that country, But it's part of non-interference. He's interfering really with our local politics and with how things are run here.
Okay. Microphone, please.
Hi, sir. Just a follow-up, sir. On your China trip, on your trip to China last June, was it your initiative or the president's initiative?
Ako yun. The president doesn't tell people to go. And as I said, I'll report to the Senate and at the right time. But I went to the US the year before. As all of you know, I aspired for higher office before. And for me to fully understand diplomatic relations, international relations, I went to the US in 2015, June also. I went to think tanks, I talked to some officials, I met with some of connections we made throughout. As all of you know, my mom's American. So I know I have a handicap when it comes to other nations that are not in that good terms or have tedious relationships with the US. So I also made an initiative to try to get to know some of them. No? Especially when the president started saying that he wants me involved in foreign relations. But on the record, my wife is always with me. So bantay sarado naman ako in all of those trips. No? But there's nothing fishy, there's nothing suspicious about all of these trips. As a matter of courtesy, etc., of course, every time na aalis ka or may mamimit ka at may chance ka ikwento sa presidente naman, titignan ka lang eh. Sabihin lang sa'yo, what's good for the nation. Subukan nyo. Sir, I'm going to meet BBC or I'm going to meet CNN in New York. Ano tingin mo sabihin ko? Sabihin sa'yo. Tell them, whatever good for the Philippines. Kwento mo nangyayari dito. Hindi naman siya, I'm not in the executive branch eh. So, hindi to parang trip na bibigyan ako ng official orders at may protocol na susundin.
Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me today. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Just to give you a heads up, on Wednesday, September 2. November. I'm sorry. November 3.
Yeah.
2. Wednesday.
November November 2.
November 2. The press briefing will feature asking Sec Sonny Dominguez. And on Friday, we will have customs, somebody from the customs. and they'll be having some, they say, good news. Okay, so just a heads up, Tuesday, DOF, and then on Friday, we're going to have Bureau of Customs. Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella, and our guest, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, of course, Communications Secretary Martin Andenar. Thank you also, friends from the media. Back to the main studio of PTV4 and Radyo ng Bayan.